Let's shift focus to something that has captured the imagination of the business community, especially the power, the coal, the cement sectors for the past 3 months, the coal auctions. To give us some perspective from the government's point of view, the Coal Secretary, Mr. Anil Swarup, joins us now. Good morning, Mr. Swarup. Well, first, congratulations, I guess, despite all the cases and the litigation that has happened, the auction process itself has gone on very smoothly. So that's extremely gratifying, I'm sure, for the industry and for yourself. But because of the aggressive bidding, a few questions have come up. First up is really the power sector. The forward bidding that we saw and the high premiums that several companies quoted is getting a bit scary for bankers whom I spoke to. Will they be allowed to pass that on as fixed cost, do you think?
Good morning, and thank you very much for those comments. As far as the bidding is concerned, I think we should not be imparting wisdom to those that are bidding, especially as a bureaucrat. I would not like to tell them what they should do. I would presume that they would know what they are doing. As far as the passing of the cost is concerned, it will be passed on in a different context altogether. In fact, on account of the reverse bidding, the tariff should actually come down. That is what the stipulation is. And the subsequent forward bidding after the reverse bidding coming to zero, the forward bidding amount will go to the state governments. That's how the stipulation is.
No, the money goes to the state government, all right, but the money is being paid out by the companies. Now, when they bid for the fixed cost in the forthcoming PPAs, will they be allowed to factor in? I'll tell you why this fear has come. Because in a separate context, if I'm not mistaken, I heard Mr. Piyush Goyal say that fixed costs could get regulated or could get capped. If that is the case, they cannot pass on this cost as part of their fixed cost, right? The premiums.
You know, the whole idea of this sort of a bidding was to keep a tab on the tariffs. And that is what the government is committed, that we will see to it that the tariffs don't go up. If this results in increase in tariff, the whole purpose will stand defeated. So that's what the government is going to work towards.
So short point, the premium will not be allowed as fixed cost.
I hope so, because otherwise the tariff will go up.
Well, the opinion from the industry and the bankers is that in that case, the power plants will be unviable.
See, as I said, I would not be sitting here imparting wisdom to people who know more about business and finances. We had made it very clear the purpose of the auction. They had to take a call, and they've taken a call, and they have to finally take a call as well.
Okay. Mr. Swarup, good morning. What would your own thoughts be on the aggressive bidding process, and what will happen from here on? Because, as we've seen in the past with the road sector as well, initially some of the bidders bid aggressively, and then, they could not service many of their projects. So in this case, if some of these companies end up surrendering their coal blocks, what will the process be? Will there be any penalty that will be levied on them?
They have given guarantees, and those guarantees will be invoked in case they don't do what they have promised to do. Probably the scenario here will not be as bad as perhaps in the road sector or in the power sector otherwise, because here the exploration has to start, and if exploration doesn't start, then not much of an investment would have been made by them. So subsequent bidder or subsequent bidding can happen on those blocks. But I am hoping for the best. I am hoping that these people who are bidding are bidding with their eyes wide open, which I'm sure they are, and consequent to which they will live with it. I'm sure they must be having good reasons for bidding what they are. We are indeed very happy that had the bidding not gone the way it has gone, they would have been blamed that we have not structured the auction in a manner and government has lost money. That was the clarion call for the past so many years, that government has been losing money. Now that the government is making money, there are, eyebrows being raised. So that's how it happens. That's how market settles. Over a period of time, it will settle down. And I would also like to inform that we've started just with a few blocks. We have many more blocks to offer. In fact, during the current auction and allotment process, we'll be looking at more than 80 blocks. So if that be the case, then more and more supply will come in, and probably the price will settle down.
So actually, that is the point I wanted to make. The manner in which people are bidding, it gives the impression that the industry is not at all sure of the availability of coal, which is why the aggression, which is why they want to corner what little they can get, 10 or 15% of their requirements. Can you give us some assurance about how many blocks will be auctioned in 2015 calendar itself, one? And point two, can you reiterate how much will Coal India's output increase in this year and the next? I'm asking for visibility only for 24 months.
No, I'm extremely glad that you raised these issues, because I've been pointing out that the blocks on offer are not the only blocks that are on offer. As you would recall that we had to do something about those 42 blocks in Schedule 2, and thereafter we added another 32 blocks in Schedule 3. So there were indeed originally 74 blocks. Now we are looking at more than 80 blocks before 31st of March. So that's quite a huge number before 31st of March. And I would like to assure the industry that more and more blocks will be offered even thereafter. So I don't think there is any reason for them to bid aggressively on this count. If they are bidding aggressively on some other count, I can't say that. But as far as availability of blocks are concerned, there will be sufficient number of blocks, and I think more than 80 is a good number before 31st of March. And I'd like to go on record that even after 31st of March, the auction process will not stop, because we have in all 204 blocks. The auction process and the allotment process will continue even after 31st of March. That is one. Number two, we are making a lot of effort to see that the Coal India production still in itself gets ramped up. This year we are seeing a record production. We are already ahead by more than 7% over last year, and we are hopeful that we'll cross 500 million tons this year. And we are looking at, and I have been saying that in the past as well, Coal India Board has approved a plan for ramping up production from the current levels this year of 500 million tons to 1 billion ton in next 5 years. And action is already underway. So a lot of work is being done in terms of ensuring that coal becomes available in the country, and there is nothing to fear on that front.
So my colleague Pragya is also joining me. Go ahead, Pragya.
Mr. Swarup, thank you so much for joining. And nobody is taking away the fact that a lot of work is being done, but we cannot take away the fact that Schedule 2 bidding has been extremely aggressive. You yourself have tweeted about it, as we all understand. But my point is, I want to rephrase Lata's question. Given the fact that, for the power sector, the reverse bidding actually started at zero and then went into negative, the variable cost will actually be zero for a lot of these companies. Do you think the companies will find a way to sort of gold plate their fixed charges going forward in order to, bid for PPAs? Because if that happens, then as a ramification of when the PPAs are actually floated, for a lot of these companies, the end tariffs will actually go up. Will actually, 3 years from now, when the PPAs get floated, it will defeat the end purpose of the government of keeping a tab on the overall tariffs. So while we may achieve our purpose today, we may not actually be able to achieve it, maybe 3 years from now, when they want to make some under recoveries on variable costs by gold plating on the fixed charges.
You can rest assured that we will ensure that this doesn't happen, that they are unable to gold plate and get these tariffs go up. We've done it so far, we'll do it in the future as well. But let me take this point to you. The problem is that if there is lesser bidding, you ask a question that why is the government losing money? I raised this point earlier also. Now that the government is getting more money, everyone is again getting concerned. So what is the option available? Do you have one?
I'm not here to discuss options, Mr. Swarup. My only fear is that the solution to the coal ministry should not become the problem of the power ministry and then the problem of the finance ministry. Because bankers are clearly worried that some of the power companies they have lent to are going to be unviable. Just to completely put paid to the issue which Pragya also raised, will there be a cap on fixed costs when the PPAs come up?
Obviously, I have said that. Why do you keep asking this question time and again? We are trying our best to ensure, and I'd like to repeat, we'd like to ensure that the tariffs don't go up. I have announced that in the past. If someone still wants to bid aggressively, what can you and I do? That's why I asked that option of you. Please suggest. What should we do then? We've been announcing time and again, repeatedly on your channel and other channels, that we will not allow the tariffs to go up. How else should I say that? And if despite that someone bids aggressively and goes through the top, what can you and I do? If you have an option, please tell me.
Okay, sir, let me just get a little more detail about these PPAs itself. Several companies that have bid do not yet have PPAs. So the coal that they mine will have to be given free to Coal India now until they sign the PPAs?
Not free. There is a stipulation that till such time that you sign a PPA at a particular price that is determined in the tender document, they will have to give it to Coal India. That's the stipulation.
Okay. Then the chances are that they may not want to even take that trouble because that price may not necessarily be very profitable for them. So is there a chance that much coal will not get mined at all?
No, if they don't mine, then they pay a price for it as well.
Okay.
As per the mining plan, they have to mine. See, I hope someone reads the tender document very carefully. We have looked at all these aspects and they are there in the tender document. And that's why I keep saying, I hope all the bidding is happening with their eyes wide open. And if they haven't read that, then that's their problem. I in any case, has too many problems to handle.
Okay, Mr. Swarup, one question is, some more clarity on merchant power sale. 15 to 20% can actually be sold by a lot of these companies on merchant basis. Can you tell us at what price will that power be sold? I mean, irrespective of what the companies have bid in, at least as far as the reverse bidding is concerned, can they go ahead and sell it at market price? Because that would actually hedge some of the under-recoveries which the companies are making, at least in the interim.
First, let me correct you. It is 15% and not 15 or 20%. Okay. We have to be very specific about it. 5% is a lot of coal in it. So it's 15%. We don't determine the price at which they're going to sell the coal. But what we tell them, that for this mining, they'll pay a different premium to the state government. It's not the one that they have bid otherwise. It's a different premium for the regulated sector and for the non-regulated sector. So the premium to be paid is different for the power that is sold in the commercial sector, and at what rate they sell the power in the commercial sector is none of our concern.
Okay. With the premiums that these power companies pay to the state governments, will that also have to be adjusted for inflation?
Yes, all the tariff determination is adjusted through inflation.
So
that's my understanding.
So tariff, yes, but premiums. Yes. This 400 rupees becomes 440 next year and 480 next year, if inflation is 10%.
It is indexed to the inflation right now.
If you look at the document, it is indexed.
Yes. Which inflation, sir? WPI or CPI? Which inflation?
Yes, it is indexed to. Yes.
No, sir. Which inflation?
Sorry?
Which inflation index?
Wholesale
price.
Sir, do you think it would make Mr. Swarup, do you think it would make a better case to actually index it to the international coal prices? Currently the international coal prices are at a bottom, but do you think the government can explore that possibility in the future as well?
Finally, I've got a suggestion from you to consider it.
Sir, that will kill the companies. Pragya, you're going to be targeted by the industry if you did that.
I keep asking you. See, we don't have, I have right from the beginning said we don't, as of now, have all the answers. We have some of them. But these discussions help us to get some answers. I've got a very good input. We will examine it. Okay.
Well, Pragya is going to become the target of industry ire. But Mr. Swarup, let me come to the coking coal mines. There were only 3 of them. One has gotten cancelled because there's only one bidder. The other one has 3 bidders and the other one has 5. The one with 3 bidders, have they all qualified? Because if one of them doesn't qualify, then even that will get cancelled.
I don't have the details of that particular mine. Certainly, if one of them gets disqualified, we'll have to re-auction it.
Okay. Are you worried about the viability of the metal companies, Mr. Swarup? The international landed prices of metals, both aluminum and steel, are crashing. In the last couple of weeks, steel prices have crashed by $30, from $450 to $420, the landed price we understand. Precisely at that time, the raw material price is going through the roof, as it were, almost 4,000 rupees per ton for some companies which have bid at that level. You are going to create a problem of terribly weak metal companies, aren't you?
See, try and understand I'm Secretary Coal. I would redesignate myself as Secretary Worried if I took all your worries with me. We have our own, as I keep saying, we have innumerous problems that face the coal sector. I'm really focused on those. I'm quite hopeful that the industry that is involved in producing something would be equally worried about what they are doing. If I can solve my own problems, I think they will be able to solve their problems. I cannot comment on their behalf. I don't force them to bid in a particular manner. I don't ask them to do a particular thing. Why should I, in fact? they have to bid in a manner that makes things viable for them. What can I do sitting here as Secretary Coal and tell them, I have a greater wisdom than you bid it in this manner? It is their call. They are taking that call. I would suggest you, as one suggestion came to me, some of your colleagues can give them a few suggestions as well.
Well, sir, the coal minister is also the power minister. As well, in the cabinet, it is collective responsibility. So, if it falls on the plate of the Steels Ministry or the Finance Ministry as unviable steel companies and, unrestrained rise in NPLs, it is going to be a government problem. So, while you may have solved today's problem, haven't you created problems for the Finance Ministry?
I'm talking to you as Coal Secretary. You asked this question of the person that you're mentioning.
Okay.
I would look into the coal sector. If there is a problem, and we are not creating that problem, by the way. Okay. The problem was created when the blocks were given away just like that. Today we are getting money for the state governments, and as you might be aware, that this money is going to the poorest of the poor states.
Okay.
If that be the case and you say that I'm creating problems for the country, I think I will disagree with you. Because the value that was there, the intrinsic value of coal which is not being realized, is now presently being realized and passed on to the people who deserve it. The poorest of the poor in this country and that region of the country. So I don't think a problem is getting created. Yes, there could be some intermediate distortions as a consequence of aggressive bidding. It happens in any market-related situation. Otherwise, we regulate the whole market and regulate it in a manner that then you will criticize that everything is regulated. We've left it to the market forces. We are not taking a decision. The decision is taken by those that operate in the market. If they distort the market a bit, my hope is that the market itself will correct. What is expected of Coal Ministry to do? Stop the auction? Put a lid on the auction? Put a lid on the bid? What do you do? So, as one of your colleagues gave me a suggestion about international prices, I would suggest you give it a thought and give me another suggestion. What should Coal Ministry do?
Okay. Can you give us some idea of how much coal output you expect in FY16 from the country?
Let's take a look at how things are moving. Of the initial Schedule 2 blocks, which are 42 in number, the peak rate capacity is about 90 million tons. I am informed that only 35 million tons were being extracted. Given the desperation of the industry in bidding, I would presume that the entire 90 million ton will be extracted during the next financial year. And I think that's a right presumption, going by the aggressive bidding that they've had. There would be some blocks of Schedule 3 that may also be mined. So we're looking at around 130 to 140 million additional ton coming from the non-Coal India sector, which is quite a huge number, given that Coal India did about 500 million tons this year. And we hope to ramp up the production next year as well. I'm hopeful that we should be able to meet substantial amount of domestic demand, both from Coal India as well as the coal that will be mined from Schedule 2 and some of the mines of Schedule 3.
All right, Mr. Swarup, we will have to leave it at that. I can see that from a Coal Secretary's point of view, there is a lot of success that you can claim, but industry and the banking sector is a worried lot. Okay, maybe I should squeeze in one more question. You have allowed swapping of mines. Now, obviously, they are each being bid at, very different prices. Do you foresee a lot of problems in this swapping, and will you have to come with any regulations?
Though I might appear very confident sitting here, there have been innumerous problems in what we are doing.
Okay.
And I do foresee some problems in swapping as well. We are working on the regulations because some notification has to be brought out in terms of enabling swapping. We are working on that, and we'll come out with those regulations.
Okay. Can you give us a broad outline as to what were the problems, what are the problems you foresee, and therefore on what lines we should expect these rules?
There will be a time for it. I'll come down to your, maybe for another interview on that.
All right, Mr. Swarup, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for joining us with your very candid replies. We will, of course, touch base with you.
I look forward for some more suggestions from you.
Okay, I'm sure you'll get a lot of worries from us. Suggestions, I guess, we will look forward from you. Thank you very much, Mr. Swarup, for joining us. That's some of the problems that the power sector and the metal sector put forward to us.
He says that the power tariffs will not go up, Lata, and that should actually, even aggravate the problems that at least we are seeing, because one of the hopes is that a lot of these power companies can actually go to the regulator and maybe pitch for some sort of, increase in charges, etc. As we've seen in the case of Tata Power and Adani Power, of course, they are completely different cases. But if even that hope does not play out for a lot of these companies, and the PPAs actually, the government starts putting a regulation on the fixed charges charges that you can claim, then there will be serious under-recovery.
No, I think we have to get 2 or 3 things into perspective. The total coal available with the captive mines is 7% of the total coal. So, you know, it doesn't make the entire metal sector and power sector unviable. This is ultimately 7%. The second point, as Mr. Swarup pointed out, and as we know now from the telecom auctions, you're aggressive the first time. I mean, bids were aggressive in 2008. They became more realistic later on. So probably some realism will dawn as the Schedule 3 mines come in and as the newer mines, altogether different mines
about
come
the credibility of the mine also. You know,
it's the credibility of the amount of coal being available.
Absolutely. And so we don't know in Schedule 3, you know, how many mines are going to come. At least in this mine, you know, we know the extractable reserves, we know which are the power plants, and, you know, those plants are at stake. We are talking about huge investments that are at stake, which is probably why you've seen that aggressive bidding. There has to be some relief that the government allows, at least from one of the parameters. At least, otherwise, we're staring at a big problem here.
Well, there could be a financial problem for sure for a lot of the companies. But yes, if more coal is brought into the market, then subsequent rounds can be more rational. And maybe the high-cost coal will therefore be a smaller part of the total raw material requirement, which can be passed on in merchant power. We do not know. So maybe we are overplaying the problem at this point.